This is Chuck N6BIL, and if you've watched the first video I put up, this is a follow-on to that video. Basically, I programmed a PIC microcontroller to convert HRD commands that are sent using the FT-847 command set into 736R commands. So basically this little box here allows you to use HRD with your Yaesu 736R. And if you saw the first video, you saw me demonstrating it. And so now I think in the end of that video I mentioned that I was going to get a printed circuit board made. Well, I did. So I'm just going to go through that and I'll show you what way things are right now. So I designed the printed circuit board and sent it off to batchpcb.com, and I got it back, and here's one of them. And I designed it actually to go inside this case here. So this is approximately 1 inch by 2 inches, this printed circuit board. And I'll show it to you here inside the case. I've already taken the screws off here, and there it is inside the case. The printed circuit board, and there's 7 components in there. So I'm just going to go through it here. There's a mini USB port here, comes out the side of the box, and then there's it's hardwired cable in here with a 6-pin DIN connector that plugs into the Yaesu. So you need a mini USB cable that plugs in here. In fact, I'll do it right now. And I think you're going to hear Windows with the little tone that says, or the beep. That beep there says that it's USB connected. I'm going to undo it because we don't need it on right now. It's powered off the USB port. So let's go through it. It's 7 components on this printed circuit board. First one is this mini USB connector. It's a surface mount part. Actually, at first I thought this was going to be a hard part to solder onto this board, but it turns out that I think the solder mask layer that's on here helps align it. When I laid this on the printed circuit board, it just naturally aligned itself to the board, which is really nice, because if you look in here, you can see that I think the pitch, I don't know what the pitch is on there, but it's pretty small. And I was very worried about soldering that up, but it was actually pretty easy. Actually, all I did was just take my soldering iron and run it across, with a minimum amount of solder on the tip, run it across those things, those pins there, and it soldered up. Then you've got to solder the 4 legs on the mini USB to the printed circuit board. That's the mechanical connection. That's what mechanically holds it to the board. And it turned out, like I said, to be fairly easy. Then there's 4 surface mount caps on here. I originally designed this board with these pads here. These are where the surface mount caps go. These are designed for what's called a 1210 surface mount part. 1210 is pretty big, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll use 1210 because then it'll be easier to solder. And actually, I think this one here is a 1210. All these others are 1206s. Well, I went to Mouser to order these parts, and if you get these parts in 1210 size, they're like about 8 to 10 times more expensive than the 1206 parts. So these are 1206s. And these numbers I'm using, 1210 and 1206, are just the size, the mechanical size of these capacitors. You got this mini USB, 4 surface mount caps, a crystal, which is through hole, easy to solder, and a pin, and a 20-pin chip. And this was the I wanted to actually put a socket in here, and you will be able to socket it on the new board, the corrected board. But when I designed this board, I made two major mistakes. One is the silkscreen lettering on the back. I've got it backwards. I forgot to mirror it because it's just just a rookie mistake. So that's already fixed. And then if you look here, these pins here, the distance between this row and this row is supposed to be 3/10 of an inch. I misread the data sheet and I made it 0.35 of an inch. So I'm off by 5/100ths of an inch. So the chip will fit in there pretty easily. You just have to widen the pin, stretch the pins a little bit to make it fit. But sockets won't fit in here. So I've already corrected that mistake too. And so I'm gonna, I'll resubmit the design to batch PCB, and the one you'll order will be the corrected one. This board isn't even available on batch PCB yet. Okay, so then what else? Then there's like 1, 2, 3 pads here for connecting up the DIN connector to the Yaesu. This pad over here is ground. This one here is serial out, and this one is serial in. So if you look on here, there's a bunch of holes scattered throughout the printed circuit board. These 6 holes here are wire strain relief holes. If you look, the wires coming out of my cabling here, and this cable is just shielded audio cable, two conductors in the center with a braid around the outside, audio cable. One is the braid on the outside is ground. Red is for serial in, and white is for serial out, I believe, if I remember doing it that way. And you just follow the instructions on the 736 manual as to which pins to solder, and I'll probably put a little thing out to make that easier. Actually, the diagram in the manual is a little bit confusing. Anyway, so these holes in here are wire strain relief holes. So I've just put the wire through this hole, up through this one, and then soldered it on here, so that when, if you pull on here, it doesn't pull at the solder joint. And then there's 2 holes here, one here and one here. There's little standoffs at the bottom of this case, and these screw into those standoffs. And that's it. That's the printed circuit board. So I'll be submitting the corrected version here in the next couple of days to batch PCB. We'll get a good board up, and if anybody's interested in building this, I'll have like a bill of materials, where to get this, which parts to get, and you can order them from Mouse or whoever, your favorite distributor is. And that's it. This case, by the way, comes from, I think it's all electronics. That's the only part that isn't from Mouser. This and the printed circuit board, I guess. Yeah, and that's it. So now the last thing is, I need, somebody who wants to volunteer to do some testing on it. I've tested it, I can't really find any problems. But I need somebody else, who I can, who wants to test one of these. And the only requirements are that you have a Yaesu 736R, that you have a computer with USB 2.0 ports on it, and that you run HRD, and that you have an amateur radio license. So if anybody wants to try testing this, let me know. My email is chuck.zdz80@gmail.com. chuck.zdz80@gmail.com. And my call sign is N6BIL. So, let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.